Hey, holiday time is here. You've booked it, you've packed your case, and you're about to go on your holidays for a well-deserved break. However, it does present a challenge. How are you going to water your plants whilst you're away? Well, I've recently returned from a holiday and I'm going to share with you today one or two tips that I found quite effective in keeping my plants watered whilst I was away. I'm Gang Gang. Welcome to the channel Gang Gang and Peanut, two peas in a pod. Now, one of the most effective ways of watering my plants when I went away was using these bottles. Very, very simple. Take the wrappers off and you're left with the bottle, and what you do is you simply pierce a hole in the cap like that. Not too big, as the water will come out too quick and won't last very long, but a small cap, a hot needle straight through the top. Fill this with water, put the cap back on, and the water drips out. I'll fill it up and I'll quickly show you. Use the watering can, some water in there, there we go. Pop on the cap, again upside down, and the water drips. It will slow down once it settles, and that is enough to keep your plants going probably for a long weekend. So these are my strawberries, and whilst I was away I needed to keep these watered. I pushed a stick into the pot, and using a cable tie I fixed this onto the stick, and the water dripped out and kept the compost moist enough to keep these lovely strawberries going. Simple. So, using a bottle with a hole in the cap, turned upside down, attached to a stick, will keep your plants watered for probably the weekend. However, if you're going away for longer, you'll need a bigger container, and I would suggest maybe a 1 litre milk carton. Same principle, hole drilled in the top, filled with water, upside down. Although you will probably need something a bit more substantial than just a stick to hold this upright. You probably need a cane. Fix it to the cane, maybe a cane on both sides, so the water drips out and keeps your plants healthy. If you were going for longer, well, I think it's the old saying, go big or go home. Maybe something like this would be more useful if you're going away for a longer period, and that's quite heavy when it's full, so you may have to have a little think about how you would support this, stop it falling over and crushing your plant. Anyway, something else you could use in conjunction with a water bottle is one of these. This is a water spike, and the way these work is they fit into the top of the bottle. Turn it upside down and the water comes out of the holes in the spike. However, if you're going away for a period of time, you would need to block some of those holes up, otherwise this would drain out in a matter of minutes, and that's not what we're trying to do here, is it? We're trying to get a slow release of water, keeping the compost moist, keeping the plant going. So they may be an option. Another thing that I've used with great success really is to use a big watering tray. I bought this in a nursery. They weren't very expensive, and I quite like these because they're quite large, as you can see. And I use this in conjunction, or as well as, capillary matting, and this matting absorbs the water and holds the water in. I would fill this tray with water, and the water sits in these little ridges, troughs, and it gets absorbed up into the matting, and the capillary matting holds the water. And if you have some plants sat on the top there, they absorb the water through the matting, especially if your plants have some roots showing through the bottom of the plant. If you can see those. Now those little roots coming out would quite happily sit on here and absorb the water. However, a week this would probably be drying out, and I think that's about as long as you could be using one of these for if you're away on holiday, about a week. So, capillary matting, excellent. So, another option which I have used is to use trays in which you sit your plants. So let me show you one. A tray like this. As you can see, it's about 1/2 inch deep. This can be filled with water and the plants will absorb through the holes in the bottom of the pot. The water will be absorbed up into the compost and keep the plants going and keep them very healthy. Again, probably about 5 days to a week. Another kind of tray I use is one like this. And what I do with these is I tend to sit my tomato plants that are in containers, I sit them in here. And when I water the tomatoes, the water goes through the compost. Any excess water sits in this tray. So before I would be going away, I'll be watering my tomato plants and filling this tray. And again, the water gets taken up from this tray through the holes in the bottom of the pot. It's absorbed up by the compost as it dries. So very effective, very inexpensive way of keeping your plants going. Again, probably a week. Should do it comfortably. As you can see here with my tomato plants, they're in their pots. I use the tomato halos, which I find are excellent, but the pots, as you can see at the bottom, are sitting in they're in trays, round circular trays, all three of these here. And as I say, when I water them, the tray captures any excess water, and then the plant takes it back up again from the tray as the compost dries out. So trays underneath containers are an excellent idea, an excellent way of keeping your plants watered whilst you're on holiday. Now, another idea for short term is maybe to use a terracotta pot. And this acts, I think they're called ollars, and this acts in a similar way. If you filled in the hole in the bottom of the pot, soak this in some water, the water gets absorbed into the terracotta. You could then fill it with water next to your plant, and the water seeps through the walls of the terracotta and into the compost surrounding it. So probably for a weekend that will be a good idea. However, for longer, again you're going to need a bigger pot. Now, one of the, I think, was the most effective way of keeping my plants watered whilst I was away was this tray. This tray, as you can see, it's quite deep. It's probably about 6 inches deep, and what I done is in the bottom I put 1 inch or so of some compost, and I soaked the compost, and I put the plants in the pots on the top. And if you use this in conjunction with a drip irrigation system with your plastic bottle, that will continue to keep the compost moist, and the plants in here survived quite comfortably for 2 weeks. Indeed, when I came back, a tomato plant had started to develop the fruits, and if you can see, a cucumber plant had started to develop some cucumbers. So I think this tray with some compost in the bottom, about 1 inch deep, saturated with water with the plants put on top, this was the most effective thing for keeping my plants watered whilst I was away. Excellent. Now, some of these ways I've just been showing you are very effective and very cost effective, very cheap ways of maintaining your plants whilst you're away. However, if you were going away for a longer period of time, 2 weeks or more, I would suggest that you look into a self-watering system, a system that involves little nozzles that control the water flow, and bits of pipe that you can send around your plants. Now with these drip irrigation systems, they can be quite expensive, or if you have a good look around the internet, you can find some systems that are reasonably priced. And if you buy them, you're probably going to use them several times if you're going to go away on holiday again over the coming years. So whilst the initial cost, the initial setup does cost a few pounds or dollars, they're not something you're buying to use just the once. So if you're going away for a longer period of time, maybe these kind of things are what you should be looking at. Now, if you're going away on holiday, the best way by far is to get a plant sitter, a friend or a neighbour or a family member, to come in and do the watering for you. By far the most effective way. So, just one or two ideas that you may want to use to water your plants whilst you're going away on holiday. Now remember, as always, what I do is not always the right way. It's certainly not the only way. It's just my way, and there are things that have worked for me, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. Enjoy your holiday, have a great time, and we look forward to seeing you when you get back. I'm Gang Gang. Thanks for watching the channel. Gang Gang and Peanut, 2 peas in a pod. If you like what you see, please give us a big thumbs up or click the subscribe button down below, and you can see all my other videos and see what I do to grow vegetables at home, in the greenhouse and on my allotment. So as ever, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.